Good morning. Happy Wednesday to everybody who's online right now. Before we get started, I'm just going to throw a poll up the right-hand side of your screen because I just want to get a sense of who is joining us today. So I invite you to head over to the poll section there and identify if you're a member, retired member, family member, civilian employee. That would be great. And just a reminder, excuse me, with all of the polls that I will be doing today are anonymous, so we don't know who's saying what. And some of the results will be private and some will be available to view to all of the participants this morning. So I'm going to get started. Welcome to the Wellness Wednesday webinar. Let's get back on track. My name is Jackie LeSarge. I'm a health promotion specialist, and I am one of 6 on the Strengthening the Forces Health Promotion Kingston team. And we're going to be talking about those New Year's goals and how we can get back on track. So let's get morning. I was reading all of your messages. Good morning, everyone. Okay, thanks for the nice messages in the chat. Let's get started. However, before we get started, I just have a few points that I want to cover before I get into the content. So the presentation you're about to view is the intellectual property of D&D. So any reproduction or retransmission of the slides contained in this presentation is strictly forbidden. Some of the topics discussed may be of a sensitive nature and may not be appropriate for children. So we do ask for parental discretion if you have some kiddos running around. Please understand that people's stories are theirs alone to tell, and anything that is shared by participants in this webinar is not to be discussed outside of the webinar. I will not be using the camera function or the microphone function today. It will just simply be the chat and the polls, and I have a handout and some links for you as well. So the webinar is being recorded. It will be loaded onto the cathconnection.ca website for viewing later on for those who aren't able to be here during the live session. And active participation is encouraged. So you may simply follow along, sit back and observe, but I do encourage you to use the chat and the polls as we go through the webinar content this morning. Good morning, Marwa. So let's get started. So it's a new year. Happy 2021. So let's get started about chatting about some of those New Year's resolutions. I have a poll again that I invite you to visit on the right side of your screen. And I'm just curious to know, have you made a New Year's resolution this year? Either yes or no. I know for me, a new year is motivating for me. I feel like it's a fresh start. So I've definitely made a few New Year's resolutions for myself this year for 2021. So it looks like we have, it's half and half. So half of us have, we have another no. So the majority of us haven't made New Year's resolutions. Does anybody want to share what their New Year's resolution was? So if you feel comfortable sharing, I invite you to use the chat box and let us know what your New Year's resolution was or is. And if you don't feel comfortable, no worries. We can just keep moving forward. Just wait a few seconds to give you a chance for those who may want to share. I know for myself, organization is a big thing. I'm really looking to be a little bit more organized with my to-do lists, purging some junk in my house. Financial strength is also another one. I want to save more money. I want to do some home renos eventually in my home. Rona Lee, financial strength, becoming comfortable, being a single mom, and moving forward with independence. Wonderful. Good for you. I can definitely relate to being a single parent. Not an easy task, that's for sure. And you can do it. There's no doubt that you have that strength and you can move forward with being independent and being a single parent. So thanks for sharing. So for those of you who have made a New Year's resolution or have set any type of goal, maybe not necessarily it was made on New Year's Day, but if there's a certain goal that you have set for yourself, how's it going so far? I'm going to bring you to the polls again to let us know how it's going. So when you think about your goal and where you are right now, is it going amazing? You're right on track? Is it okay? I've had a few slips here and there. Are you not really where you thought you'd be at this point in your path to making change? Or are you at a point right now where you feel like you just want to give up? There's no desire to keep going. Okay, so it looks like the majority of you are right on track. You're doing great. And we have an okay, I've had a few slips. Okay, so when we talk about New Year's resolutions, they're very much connected to those stages of behavior change: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. Because our resolutions are essentially trying to make changes in behaviors or develop a new habit or change some of those less healthy or negative habits in our life. So where you are in the stages of change model can greatly influence your progression to making change or achieving that goal. For example, if you are in the pre-contemplation stage and you've set a New Year's resolution, largely because it's New Year's Day and that's what people do, success level may be not as high as it would be if you were in the preparation stage when you set that goal for yourself on New Year's Day. So I have a quick video for you that I want to show, and it basically provides a description of each stage of change. And while you're viewing it, it may give you some insight as to where you are on that stages of behavior change model. So I'm going to bring up the video here. Hopefully, bear with me. Hopefully, it's going to work here for you.
I was walking through town the other day and came across a change machine. I put $1 in, but nothing happened. It just gave me my money back. Yuck, 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 yuck. You know what I mean, right? Change. It could be a doozy. People sign up for new exercise programs, nutrition programs, basically change programs every day. But we don't always get the results we're looking for. Instead, we get distracted, start making excuses, but really, this can be normal depending on what stage of change you are at. What do I mean? Well, one of my favorite books about effectively cultivating change is called Changing for Good, written by a group of doctors who discovered that there are 6 stages of change that people go through before they can finally touch success. What they've discovered has become the #1 tool used by the National Cancer Institute in helping smokers quit for good. So let's quickly step through them because understanding these stages could make or break your results in any program you do. The first stage of change is pre-contemplation. These people have some sort of issue or problem, but don't even recognize that they have this problem. Who? Me? Nah. This is particularly relevant when a nutrition or exercise program is bought for someone else, but they don't use it because they think they don't need it. Not a lot of traction here. The second stage is contemplation. These people are finally like, yeah, there's that thing that should probably change, but I'll do it tomorrow. And tomorrow. And tomorrow. At that magical place where there's always free beer. The third stage is preparation. These people are actually taking steps toward resolving their issue or concern. They might sign up for a nutrition program as an example. They're talking a big game. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I want to do it. And that brings us to the fourth stage, action. Going from I want to I am. I do. It is done. You can go on wanting your goal your whole life, but wanting and doing are 2 completely different beasts. This stage separates the wanters from the doers. And yes, the biggest gap of all lies between these two stages right here. The fifth stage comes after you've implemented, after action. It is the maintenance stage. This stage is by far the most important stage because after action, will you maintain the program or will you just go back to your old habits? People who don't make it through this stage are referred to as what? Going into relapse, right? But if you do maintain, hold strong, allow this program to become fully integrated into your life, then you will reach the sixth and final stage, termination. The program is over. Because once the program, the refined habits, this new lifestyle fully becomes one with your life, then there is no more program to follow. The program has dissolved. It has disappeared within you. You are it, and you have fully achieved your goal. This is what Gandhi is talking about when he said, "Be the change that you want to see in the world." So now, what stage of change are you in right now, and what are you going to do about it?
Okay. And I hope that it was clear, a clear description of those stages of change. So I invite you to think about it throughout the webinar today and think about perhaps maybe where you are right now in those stages of behavior change, because it can really help you determine what your path is going to look like. And maybe there are some changes or amendments that you may need to tweak to get to the goal that you want to achieve, depending on where you are in that model of behavior change. So it's 2021. You've made a goal, or you have a goal. Some of us have those New Year's resolutions. Some of us may have other goals that we've set for ourselves prior to the new year, or have just, it's just a lifelong goal that we're working on. So it's go time. All right, so let's get started. So one of the main messages of this webinar this morning is that when we set those expectations and goals for ourselves to make changes in our life that aren't necessarily very easy to do, we're going to experience slips, setbacks, obstacles, barriers, roadblocks, lapses, and I'm going to be using these terms quite interchangeably throughout the webinar. And you know what? It's okay and it's normal. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more moving forward, of course, but it's also motivating. It can be very motivating, it can be encouraging, it can be strength and character building when we deal with some of these slips and lapses that we are going to encounter as we move towards our goal and our change in lifestyle. So for some of us who have set goals to, for example, quit smoking, lose weight, maybe read more books, the first few days, the week, or even the first 2 weeks, you may be doing great. But then old habits, old routines may start to overpower. Just because it's a new year doesn't necessarily mean it's a new life and a new reality. There will still be bills to pay, children to care for, households to maintain, jobs to go to, COVID-19. We're still going to experience those overall daily stressors and inconveniences. So when you hit a setback in your goal of a new routine or lifestyle, a lapse may occur. And a lapse is a short-term single event. So for example, when you smoke that cigarette, or perhaps you indulge in 2 pieces of cake instead of 1, or you watch Netflix all night instead of reading your new book from Indigo, right? So I like to also call these lapses whoops. It just sounds lighter to me and less serious. And saying whoops for some reason, it just makes it easier to brush it off. So, for example, a baby who's just learning to walk and take their first steps, they fall down, and what do we immediately say? We go, whoops, we smile, and the baby just gets right up again and keeps going. But when we experience those whoops, it's really important to not dwell on it, not to consume yourself with that guilt. because when we do that, it tends to lower our confidence in our abilities and our motivation to keep going. Easier said than done, I know, but we're gonna talk about a few steps that you can take to get yourself in that mind frame. When we talk about relapse, that refers to those longer term multiple events. So when you go back into those old habits and behaviors. So basically it means you're saying whoops more often than not, and you're really sick and tired of hearing yourself say whoops. Therefore, boom, you give up. Not all lapses will turn into relapses, so you want to keep that in mind. And you also want to keep in mind that maybe those whoops are what you need to keep going. It really depends on you, your goal, and what you have chosen as your path to reach your goal. So keep in mind, early slips or lapses or whoops do not predict failures. Early slips can definitely strengthen those resolutions. Okay, so the key to success is coming back from those slips stronger than ever. So the big question is how? How can we come back from those slips stronger than ever? Well, I have put together a resolution checklist. And I was inspired by Jeremy in his webinar last week because he had the 3 Ps when talking about jumpstarting your January. So I came up with the 6 Rs. Well, I didn't, but I've put this together to help you deal with some of those setbacks that you may encounter, that you most likely will encounter while you're trying to change your lifestyle. Okay, so the first thing that you want to do when you slip is recognize and reflect. So you want to own it. You don't want to immediately jump to excuses. You don't want to immediately beat yourself up over it. Just take a deep breath, recognize it, embrace it, and then analyze why. Reflect on it. So what was the trigger? How was I feeling? Was I sad? Was I mad? Was I lonely? Was I tired? Was I frustrated? What was I doing? Who was I with? Reflect on the situation that ignited the slip. This information can better prepare you for when you come across this triggering situation or environment again. You have an opportunity to find different ways to deal. And this is a chance to ask yourself, what can I do differently next time? Try a bunch of different strategies. It's trial and error time. So, for example, cold turkey, that might work for some when they're trying to quit smoking, but not all. Doing push-ups as a distraction for a craving for a cigarette or a bag of chips. That might work for some, but not all. Utilizing an app to assist you with, increasing your activity level, or helping you quit smoking, or if you have a weight loss goal, there's several apps out there that can assist you. Calling a friend during a time when you're triggered or having a craving or experiencing a challenging setback might work for some, but not all. So write these suggestions down. Try a bunch of different strategies. That's a really important piece of trying to deal with those slips to prevent them from happening again. Okay, next one is reality check. So reality check is where you're going to cut yourself some slack. You're going to be nice to yourself. You're going to recognize that you're not going to immediately change overnight. It's a process, right? Your progression to get to where you want to be is happening at real-time speed, not lightning speed. There's no magic pill. There's no magic strategy. We didn't learn to read overnight. We didn't learn to walk or talk overnight. You won't have adopted all of these new skills and habits overnight. You have to give yourself a reality check and say to yourself, it's going to take time. It's going to take practice. It's going to take hard work. There's going to be challenges. I need to train myself, and I need patience. So you want to look at your whoops or your setback as an educational moment. It's an opportunity to learn something new about yourself, about your path to your goal, and to discover new ways to better deal with some of those triggers and emotions, thoughts, and environments. The next one on the list is reframe your resolution. So maybe your setback or series of setbacks is a sign that you need to tweak your goal a little bit. So maybe quitting smoking cold turkey is not the most effective plan for you. Or completely cutting out all sugar every day for 3 months is not realistic or achievable right now. Or setting a goal to read 5 books in a week is just too overwhelming and too much. So maybe you need to look at setting shorter daily goals or weekly goals that seem less daunting or overwhelming. What a wonderful feeling it would be if you were to set the goal of cutting back by 1 cigarette per day. You do it and you win. That's motivating. So you know for the next day, you will do that again and you will win. And then maybe you do that for 3 days and you decide, well, maybe I'll cut back by 2 cigarettes. Win-win. So that's motivating and achievable. It's realistic for you and gets you 10 steps further towards achieving your goal, as opposed to setting an overwhelming goal that could potentially set you back 10 steps. Recruit a support person. This is a really key motivating factor for dealing with some of those slips. Recruit a buddy, recruit someone who you can communicate your goal to, because that establishes a commitment to your goal. So there's an element of accountability there, but there's also that person that can provide you with that moral support for you when it does get challenging. Next on the list is revamp your environment if you haven't already. So if you're trying to quit smoking, do a good deep clean of your car, of your house, get rid of lighters, matches, ashtrays, old cigarette packs. If you're trying to decrease your sedentary time and watch less Netflix, maybe suspend your account for a week or a month so you can focus on implementing some of those new habits into your lifestyle. Clean out your pantry of less healthy snacks. Clean out your liquor cabinet. Post messages around your house for little reminders to, have a glass of water or do your 10-minute meditation or go for a walk. Set timers on your phone. All of these small changes to your external environment can be very helpful in preventing some of those slips. So the last one is restart at the right time. So if for some reason those 5 steps or the previous 5 R's didn't really work for you, you tried them out, maybe you need to reevaluate your readiness to change. So maybe you need to revisit those stages of behavior change, figure out where you fit. Because if your slips or your whoops are impacting you in a negative way and are really limiting your abilities to keep going, maybe it's just not the right time. So don't let a big day like New Year's Day pressure you into making changes you're not ready to adopt. And don't let others pressure you into making change either. You want to change for you. And Jeremy talked about this quite a bit last week. Success is greatly determined by your readiness to change. So maybe it's not the right time. Maybe you need to restart at a different time. And that's okay. That's okay. That's you just learning more about yourself and where you're at. And eventually you'll get there. So that's an important thing to recognize when you're setting new lifestyle goals. So actually, before I get started on the saboteurs, I have a handout for you that I'm going to just put up here. I encourage you to download it. It's basically the resolution checklist. So you can download it and it just outlines those 6 steps for you. And it also has the stages of change on there. So it's an opportunity just to, maybe you want to post it there as a reminder. So feel free to download it there on the screen. All right, so another piece that may be a roadblock on your goals for change are saboteurs. So people in your life who may try to sabotage your goals, and they may be doing this unknowingly, unconsciously, or there may be a few that deliberately are trying to impede your success. And this is largely due to perhaps their own fears or their own insecurities or struggles that they're dealing with. So when we look at saboteurs, they may be friends, family, a partner who may think that you want to change your lifestyle, your life in other ways, and they will feel left out. So for example, if you're choosing to quit smoking, but your friend or partner is still smoking, right? There's that divide. So no longer are you joining them for that smoke after dinner or on your walk. So there may be a sense of them feeling left out of your new, healthier lifestyle. Friends may feel that your weight loss, if you have a goal of losing weight, makes their extra weight more noticeable, or they may not like the attention you're receiving for achieving a weight loss goal or quitting smoking. Friends, family may feel guilty if they indulge in cigarettes or wine or goodies that you used to indulge in quite often, and you don't share that together anymore. And that may lead you to be feeling guilty and second guess perhaps your goals. Saboteurs often urge you to go back to old habits by saying things like, come on, just one glass of wine, or one cigarette's not going to kill you. Just skip your workout today. Or I miss the old Jackie. So often they will throw out these statements, which could ignite some guilt in yourself and I guess second guess and demotivate you to sticking to your goal. Often efforts are undermined by saboteurs by making negative comments. They kind of turn it into a joke, like, oh, you're going to be back to smoking in no time, or the weight's just going to come back, or you read? Have you ever read a book before? So anyone who belittles or makes fun of your efforts or perhaps discourages you from trying to make change, maybe trying to sabotage your efforts. So if you find someone in your life that fits these characteristics, and again, maybe they're doing it unknowingly or unconsciously, but you want to have an honest conversation with them. You don't want your goal of trying to change your lifestyle cause resentment and affect the relationship. So having an honest conversation, stating what you need from them, trying to help them better understand where you're coming from and how important this goal is to you can help them better understand, and they may see that they can potentially be a very positive influence on your road to change. Ask for that unconditional support. And it's also important to ask them too how they feel about your change. Maybe there are some struggles that they're dealing with and want to talk about as well. So you want to invite them into the conversation and hear their side as well. Okay. Another key, huge key piece of setting goals and sticking to them is motivation. And motivation is very personal. Your strategies for motivation should be tailored to you and to your own individual goals. And it's directly linked to what we discussed. Those obstacles, those saboteurs, our environments really do influence our motivation. So when we talk about motivation, I just want to mention a couple of key motivators. And one I've already mentioned, and that's developing that social support network, recruiting that buddy, and staying clear of saboteurs is huge when it comes to motivation. And then number two is the way we think. So our thinking style really focuses on our relationship with ourselves. Most of us tend to be pretty hard on ourselves. That inner voice can be quite critical. Negative self-talk can really be a powerful thing that leads us to telling ourselves that we can't do this, that it's too hard. And it really can impact our motivation and doesn't really help us deal with some of those setbacks very well. So when it comes to that negative self-talk, and we're all going to experience, we're human, it's going to happen. That inner voice is going to be talking to us and trying to bring us down. But one thing you can do to boost that motivation, and this is easier said than done, but you can try to reframe. So when you start to hear that inner voice saying negative things such as, I can't do this, this is too hard, welcome it, recognize it, welcome it. And then what I want you to try to do is turn that negative into a positive. So if you're saying to yourself, I can't do this, it's too hard, you can turn that into a positive by saying, okay, yes, this is tough, but I can do this. I've been through hard things before. I've gotten through them. I just have to believe in myself. I can do this. Something along those lines. You know, you got to speak to yourself in a positive way that works for you. But reframing is a skill. It's something that takes time and practice and a lot of hard, work to exercise it. But it's a powerful influence on our motivation to keep going. So what do you think? Let's revisit the stages of change. Are you ready? So this visual is actually a local health promotion visual that we've created to illustrate the stages of change. If you're ready and you're in that action stage and you're going strong right now, keep going. If you're unsure where you're at, that's okay. Just keep going anyway, and it may take some time. Again, it's a process. You might even flip-flop between the stages of change throughout your journey to achieving your goal. And health promotion can definitely help you with some of these behavior changes that you're working towards. That's what we do essentially. Our programming that we deliver to the CAF community focuses on taking those negative or less healthy habits and behaviors in our life and turning them into more positive lifestyle behaviors and habits. So just to give you an overview of the programs that we have to offer to help you, you know, with your goals, whether it's a New Year's resolution or just a long-term goal that you've set for yourself that you're working on, we can help you with that. So as you can see, we have a variety of programming here. You can go to pspkingston.com to get more details on some of these programs. They're all free for the CAF community. Civilian staff, family members 18 or over are more than welcome to take our programming. We are not doing in-person programming right now due to obviously COVID, but we are offering Wellness Wednesday webinars every Wednesday at 8:30. And we also encourage you, if you are part of a unit that wants to learn more about perhaps stress management, healthy eating, alcohol awareness, cannabis awareness, any variety of our health promotion programs, we encourage you to request a health promotion service. We can do virtual briefings for your unit. So we encourage you to go to our page and check it out, and please reach out so we can do what we do, support you in your role as a CAF community member. So Rachel is doing the Wellness Wednesday webinar next week, Train Your Brain, Visualize the Road Ahead. And I actually have the link for the registration here. If you are interested, I encourage you to copy this link, put it in your favorites so you can easily register for any of the Wellness Wednesday webinars. It'll take you right to the registration page there. And then reach out anytime. I hope this webinar was of great value to you. The best way to reach health promotion, if you do have any questions that comes across your brain later on, you can email us at healthpromotionkingston@cfmws.com. You can follow us at PSP Kingston. We're on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. If you have any questions now, I'll stick around for about a minute, and you can ask away. And I actually have one more poll before you leave me, just to get a little bit of feedback how you felt this webinar went today. So I've put it up there on the right side of your screen. And do you feel what you learned in this webinar you can apply in your daily living? So again, anonymous answers here. We don't know who's who saying what. We appreciate your feedback. And I hope everyone has a wonderful week. Good luck with your resolutions. Good luck with your goals. Stay safe. And I look forward to seeing you in future Wellness Wednesday webinars. And perhaps any other virtual webinars or briefings that we'll be doing in the very near future. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks, Rachel. Thanks for joining. Kim, thank you for participating. Rona Lee, awesome. Have a great day, everyone.